All right, all right, all right. Greetings and welcome back, everyone. I pray you are doing well. Let me bring the thing on in, and then we'll get started. All right, all right, all right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and again, I pray you are doing well this blessed night. Good evening, good evening. Look, no, if it wasn't for a lovely subscriber who gently reminded me that today was Wednesday, if it had not been for that, I would have forgot. I don't know where the week went, peoples. The week have wings, and I almost forgot today was Wednesday. So shout out to the subscriber. Listen, I read your comments now, right? The chat. Welcome to everybody in the chat. It's Liddy as always. But because I'm prepared with my cross references, it never to catch me off guard. You understand me? I say? Because what we're doing now is we're making our descent in this whole Bob Lowry conversation. The plane is getting ready to land, but we have some few more things to get in order. You understand? And one of those things is we spoke about him being sick, and and now we're going to talk a little bit about the before he got to that degree, before he got to Rita gave him cancer conversation. So we're going to take a look at what Rita says and what Sadella says concerning that time period to see whether or not he took it as seriously as many says he should have. Oh, shout out to Evelyn. You finally got Sadella's book. Doop, doop. Shout out to you. I know it was on back order for a minute, So I'm glad they finally got some new prints up and popping. Look, no, I'm coming right now from No Woman, No Cry, and then I'm going to go to Sadella. So here we are. This is chapter 12, right? In September 1975, during a football game, and once I have to also say this, as we know, there's a lot of controversy. It's the shoes, it's the pin, somebody stepped on his foot, it's all these questions. But for the sake of argument, we're just going to read what his mother and his wife said. In September 1975, during a football game, one of the players wearing spikes stepped on the big toe of Bob's right foot. And by the way, the foot in the picture is actually his foot. He's on a tour bus in this picture, and his foot is wrapped up. That's later on, right? The injury was somewhat severe, but he refused to give it much attention because Bob was Bob, who never gave in to pain, and a hurt toe wasn't as serious as other things that needed looking after. So, oh no, it's 1:00 there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, so according to Rita, from her perspective, Bob kind of pushed it off. He didn't really look into the toe. Oh, it's just a hurt toe, right? So let's continue. She's saying that he didn't take it seriously. So he took it very lightly and continued to play on the foot, even though doctors recommended that he rest it and not run around for a while. Okay. These are people who were there. So basically we're going to go back because remember, Sadella speaks of something like this when he was younger. And then she also speaks of his injury when he got older, right? It goes on to say, I would be the last one who saw it most evenings when he came home and took off his sneakers and socks. He was hurt enough to complain, ouch. So wait, Bob, did that go on now? How the thing go? It says, and I could see the toe was not healing. It mirrors when he was younger and the toe wasn't healing. The foot bottom wasn't healing. I kept saying, Bob, it's still not looking good. You have to quit wearing these kinds of shoes and give up the football for a time. So she's saying to him, look, I'm looking at your toe, the thing not looking good. But now he's getting used to the pain, apparently, because if it's hurting, but you're still doing these activities, then is it really hurting, right? He'd say, okay, and he'd stop for a day or two. And the next day, he'd be out in the field again. Not again, again. Mhm. Eventually, after he'd injured the toe in 1977, the nail fell off. So now that protective mechanism, she's saying it started in 75. And by 77, the nail fell off. And then malignant melanoma developed. Ironically, a disease that rarely occurs in people of color. This is what Rita is saying. We're reading from Rita right now. But Bob felt the doctors who made this diagnosis were like, oh, that Dr. Rita, them don't know what they're talking about man too. Bob, at which point, so it's kind of a neglecting oneself at this point, right? Even Dr. Bacon, a black doctor in Miami who loved Bob and who said to me, if Bob would allow me to get rid of the toe, he could stop this thing. Now, that to him would be a bit extreme, isn't it? Like to get rid of the toe. But this is 2 years running now. 75, according to her timeline, this thing first happened. 77 is exasperated. It's getting worse, right? But you're still on the foot. After the doctor spoke to me, I spoke to Bob about it. But Bob thought I was crazy. What kind of idiot thing that? Ray, for those who don't know, is, it's Jamaican version for blah, blah, blah. Ray, and te. That's like saying blah, 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 right? So make we continue. It says here, because he believed that if he consented to this, he wouldn't be able to stand up during performances. That, speaking of, getting rid of the big toe, how would I go on stage? They wouldn't stay looking at a crippled man. He spoke angrily. So let me speak angrily now. I'm gonna go on stage. They wouldn't still look on cripple man. He spoke angrily to me as if I were being deliberately negative. So I thought, okay, this is not a time for him to feel that way about me. I felt I had to support his italicized will because I didn't want him to feel as if I were trying to weaken him when he needed strength most of all. So Rita's over here like, bruh. And I mean, I told you 2 years ago, this thing is looking bad. You see me? At any time did Nestor remember, like, yo, remember when a little bit man and something like this happened? Did he have any of those memories? I don't know. Let's continue. In any case, the decision wasn't left to me. My influence was more and more limited in that hothouse, superstar atmosphere where rumors flew about his illness and people told him this and that. Naturally, I had my opinion about some of the things that were said, but I didn't try to make a fuss to publicize my feelings. So now Rita's like, bruh, she been was losing ground. You understand? And even more so, this is what she's saying. Because people will be like, well, why you never said something? She's like, bruh, he won't listen to me. Bob was told that Dr. Bacon was lying. I idiot thing, that idiot doctor, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anytime Jamaican want to discount you, you're an idiot with a capital E. I idiot thing that was only a sore toe and would get better soon. Bryce, 2 years later, I think it's more than a sore toe, that he should come out of the hospital where this diagnosis had been made, which he did. So we're seeing so far that there's a lot of time that this boat, I know we passed the time now, that it could have, we take advice or you listen to the wrong people or you disregard it or you minimalize it. And even in today's space and time, people may have symptoms or sickness and because it's not that bad, you keep going till it gets worse, right? Prevention better than cure. Prevention better than cure. So that final tour went on and we traveled from one country to another, one city to another, doing the same thing we had done for almost 7 years. Night after night, city after city, crowds of fans. Listen, this is the time where everybody's like, the Bob Marley you know today, that was the sacrifice. In this time that this myth, the legend, and the man is being made, is the time when he's suffering all throughout this 75, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80. He's suffering with his foot. Then where am I here? Night after night, city after city, crowds of fans, thousands of people came out to see Bob. For them, he had become more than just a singer. They wanted to hear the message in his music. What he had to say, along with his every aspect of his life, was inspected. Whatever he did, whatever he thought, whatever others thought of him. So for those who are acting like what we're doing right now is new, the conversations that we're having is new. It's not. A lot of us just wasn't around, or we was too young to even know what was going on, right? So this is not a new conversation. It says, so that final talk, no, but it said already. This meant an openness with many more people having access to him. When he became that accessible because of the growing demand, I started to lose him. So at the second time she said this, so I guess she really wants us to know. She says, physically as well as morally. So remember the scene in the movie where they're beefing and they're supposed to be in Paris, and she was like, yo, what she say again? No, I can't remember. You're something another and you become polluted. I can't remember. They arguing in Paris and she boxes him and they're like, oh, you didn't think that you could have a box, Bob? According to her, she's losing him morally. Okay. It goes on to say, and with that loss of his presence came the loss of his feelings towards a lot of things. I felt I lost his respect, his attention, his value. Yet all the while, these public demands became more and important than his personal ones. Yes, you're swimming in pollution, you become polluted. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. I continue to be there as one of the eye trees and not as his wife. And she often says this in the interviews. I still felt the situation demanded it. He was not very happy. His toe never healed. There was no time for that. We are going to read Sadella because, again, this is not something new. As usual, on tour, we had separate rooms, which at first I had enjoyed. Rita said, I'm glad you see. Yo, did she say she enjoyed the separate room, Joe? But now, because Bob had the additional responsibility to give interviews and the like, the record company took control of his daily life. True, Rita didn't lose respect a long time. I agree, but me that try to behave myself on the reading. When he went to bed, the time he had to wake up, eat, and go, he was on a hectic, more pressure schedule now. When everyone else on the tour was able to rest a little later in the morning after a concert, he had to be up from 7 or 9. Interview. If so-and-so was going to call you from another part of the world, you had to be up to catch their time, even though you had just fallen asleep in bed. Yo, why did prudent mom so she can't chat to Taki in a piece? Yeah, man, Bob, just me over here. Hello, Taki. Oh, everything back there. Oh, the youth them. Not the calling of Taki and Peace. Let me continue here. As the lifestyle changed, the women kept coming. The beauty queen or Miss So-and-so. Every city we went to, he had to meet the Miss So-and-so for a photo shoot. It was a part of a promotional thing. Hello, Bob, queen of so-and-so. At the third time, Rita said so-and-so, me not think she did too, like so-and-so is coming down to the hotel to take pictures with you. And then I would find that she came to take pictures during the day, but at night, she's there in the bedroom trying to see him again the next night. So wait, Miss So-and-so come and say, hey, yes, me I come back around there later. Next thing you know, when Rita gone check pan things, Miss So-and-so cock up in her room. Help. And that being said, let's continue. It says, that made a difference because of his health, which I could not stop my feelings about. I was still concerned about that. All this time, the sickness was moving. So all the time, he's still cocking up with the women. Even Sydney Breakspear time, because she, 75, 76? All of these people, he's not doing well, right? It says, I was still concerned about that. All this time, the sickness was moving, according to what the doctors later said. The toe grew worse, aggravated by his wearing boots every night for performances. Sometimes we did 2 shows a night, and then there was the after show parties. Next night, same thing. Wait, I want to change this so you can see where she goes say next, because I had put up a picture. Exhibit A, right? Listen, this picture is going to go with this next portion. I had put this picture on the community board. I asked the people, who is this? They said Sandra Kang, right? She was what is she, Miss Jamaica? Okay, so when Rita was saying that he was taking pictures with Beauty Queen and this person and that person, here what she said. No, I remember one night. Look good, cause the night there on your screen. I think it was in Paris. This was taken in Paris. Remember, in foot. I remember I asked, "What is Bob saying in the middle picture?" She says that he came back to the hotel room with his toe all hurt up and draining. And the next morning, we had to call in the doctor. So he was over. Watch the move where Baba, watch Baba flick hip from side to side. Then no, watch frontward Baba give gal wine. Hmm? And when you come back to Rita, the foot are drained so bad. So yeah, and them catch her. I couldn't find in such a short time. She said that it was in the paper, but here is Bob rubber dubbing with Sandra Krang, Beauty Queen, while in foot upon him. Let me read this again. I remember one night, I think it was in Paris, that he came back to the hotel with his toe all hurt up, draining. And then the next morning, we had to call in the doctor. Along with the doctor came the picture on the front page of the newspaper of Bob dancing with the Beauty Queen. Exhibit A, Beyonce, everybody. See there? I kept saying, you really didn't have to. After the concert, you should have gone out dancing with your, you shouldn't have gone out dancing with your sick toe. Or if you're going to dance, wear a slippers. That's when I realized that he wasn't thinking of himself anymore, because self-preservation should come first. He don't look like he thinking about nothing but rubber dubbing and dancing at this time. It says here, as for the one night stands with the tour, Bob, not with the tour, the one night stand with the tour, the flings, I would say to him, if you do this, you can't do that, because you're weakening one aspect of yourself, right? Giving out all your life force when you're supposed to be healing, finding strength to heal your toe. And along with the weakness, you lose your resistance. The more you can rest is the best for you. And he'd say, oh, you're getting jealous now. No, you're acting like a wife, huh? Are we serious? Did he say that Rita's advice that he should stay off the foot is because she's jealous of him and the woman them? So I'm gonna leave that right there, because we staying on the toe situation. I'm gonna come read what you guys are saying, and then I'm gonna jump over to Sadella, and then I'm gonna open up the lines. So make we see what I go on. Do. Yeah, she checked out. All right. Yeah, in foot a bunny man in there, they are rubber dub. Yep. All right. Let me go ahead to what his mother said, because remember, we read before. I'm going to read it again, because what Rita described about the toe is what his mother described when he was young. And then I'm going to go to what his mother describes when he's old. All right. So right now we are in chapter 6 of Sadella's book. It says here, I remember, for example, this is when he was younger, so that we know that this is not new for those who didn't hear the last time we read this. I remember, for example, when Nestor was still very young, he developed a sore at the bottom of his foot that wouldn't heal. What did Rita say? Somebody stepped on his foot and it wouldn't heal. While roaming the bush, he had stepped on a broken bottle and cut himself, and for months and months the wound festered. No matter what I put on it, the cut still seeped with pus and looked raw. What did Rita just say? When he came home, the foot was leaking. This situation he had is not a new situation. It's not a new situation. Something was already brewing from since he was young, up by his mother's account. A man in the district warned me that I should buy Nesta shoes, and his toe would grow twisted up because of the way he had began walking on the side of his foot to shield the wound of his foot bottom. Yet nothing I tried helped it heal. So he would have been accustomed to a certain degree of the pain, but the pain in your big toe pressing against the shoe, it might have been a little worse. You know what I mean? His cousin Nathan, who at 13, no, wait, a man in, I said that. His cousin Nathan, who at 13 was several years older than Nesta, but one of his closest playmates, announced one evening that he knew how to cure the cut foot. He went into the fields and picked some Sybil orange and roasted them in coal fire. When the oranges were softened, he cut it open, the rind, and scraped the warm pulp, which he mixed with smelly yellow powder called iodoform that he had bought at the drugstore. Making a plaster of this compound, he smeared it on a cloth that he bound tightly around Nesta's foot. So something about the healing process and sores, Nesta had an issue already. Within the days, the wound had scabbed over. 2 weeks later, new skin had formed and the sore was completely healed. Okay, so now let's jump towards later in his life. His mother goes on to say, now we're going to jump forward. No, we're going to jump forward. And then, what's this? Chapter 15, thereabouts. It says here, the next trouble to arise during those bitter years of 1976 to 77 fell on Nesta's right big toe, a part of the body so lowly that one would never think it capable of striking a killing blow. And it ain't that lowly because you get your balance from your toe. You know what I mean? You get your balance from your toe. Nesta returned from Jamaica one day, complaining about a sore toe. He said he had bucked his toe during a backyard football game and that since then the injury would not heal. So this is not the first time Rita same bucking toe, somebody step on him toe, and him mother say him tell him bucking toe, right? Or stubbed his toe, right? It says here, he took off his shoes and socks and showed me the toe near the nail. It had a small but festering red sore with uneven white edges. That's what the mother's saying she saw. At the time, we saw the injury as an annoyance. So the annoyance comes to give you a warning, but it's an annoyance because you don't want to hear what the toe is saying to you. Pain is an indicator. I was just talking about this earlier today. Pain is an indicator, but we see it as something that we need to just hurry up and go away before it gives us the message, right? I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you go away. You're making me uncomfortable. But had he taken a moment to say, okay, what is going on here? And telling, then, maybe there would have been a different outcome, but it's annoying me. It's interrupting me from doing what I want to do. It says here, let's go on. It says here, at the time we saw the injury as an annoyance. I treated it with frequent bathing in warm water and sprinkled it with golden seal powder. Right? Nesta himself would also wash the wound and try different medicines on it, but the toe stayed sore and red. The wound just wouldn't heal. I wonder if she remembered what the cousin did, because she would have said, Nesta, say, I the same thing that did happen when you had like a pitney man, and you remember what your cousin did do. I mean, it goes on to say, yeah, golden seal has medicinal properties, but clearly there was something else going on with this though. It says, still, we were thinking the same thing, that when Mas death visit the body, he takes up residence not in humble cultivator's shack of a big toe, but in the big house organs such as the kidney, liver, or heart. So basically they're disqualifying it because, it's his toe, so it can't be that bad. This is what I'm getting from the mother. So we weren't too worried about a sore toe. Nesta had the band resuming tour. They were gone for a few weeks when Nesta called from England with the judgment. He had cancer in his big toe. Remember, by this time, it would be 2 years later. It would be 2 years later. Why? Because according to Rita, it started in 75. It says, I can't with his mother right now. She says, he had cancer in his big toe. It was a wicked cancer with a long name. Melanoma. Why did she have to say a wicked cancer with a long name? Later, Rita also called and peppered me with questions about Captain that I couldn't answer, saying that Nestor's blood was rare, that it was the white man in his system that had given him cancer. Did Captain have any sickness that I knew about? Remember, Captain said he had Bosun or hernia. That's what he said he had. When on the conception night, when he was like, "CD, me breed you next morning," right? The reason why he lured her to the cabin is because he was sickly. If we can if memory serves correctly. Let's continue. It says here that is what the white man in his system had given him cancer. Did Captain have any sickness that I knew about? What was Captain's blood type? Oh, she's supposed to know that. How did Captain die? Well, we know how Captain died according to the record. Me only have one wife. One wife. Me only remember I married one time. I didn't know the answers. I told her all I knew about Captain was that he was Captain. So how you find out all of this after that, Sadella? Can you tell we enough about Captain after the fact? I knew nothing else. Mhm. It was shortly after Rita's call that Nestor phoned to break the news that the English doctor wanted to cut off his toe. But remember, the doctor, what was the name of the doctor in Miami that Nestor called an idiot? I idiot thing that him know him talk about Rita. Now him gone to England and the next doctor tell him I say, backside are true. It says, and if the cancer was found to have spread beyond the toe, the doctor wanted to amputate his entire foot. His voice filled with anguish. He then asked me the unanswerable question. You hear him now? Mama, I never do nobody no evil. I never do nobody no wrong. Why would Jah give him cancer? Why? I did not know why then or now, in the fullness of time, all the whys of the world would be answered. But for now, we can only ask. It was the big, so Bob automatically at that point saying the creator gave him cancer. This is very interesting. In humanity, we do this often, which is curious as to why the first thing humanity wants to do is blame the creator for the conditions of humanity. Rita had the right line of questioning. What was going on with his father, the X, Y, and Z? He's jumping to blaming the creator. Now, if I have time, I'm going to read something that came up when Rita said that, not Rita, when Sadella said, and I wondered why she said that people was afraid of Nesta and they think he had put a curse on Leslie Kong. Leslie Kong? I have to double check him name. From Federal Records, and I had found where he had passed from a sudden heart attack. I found a reference in Don Taylor's book that was curious about that story. So if I have time, I'll go and read that one. Because here he's saying he didn't do nothing to nobody. He never did no evil to nobody. He never did anything wrong. So he don't know why this is happening. And that Jah gave it to him. It was the beginning moment of a long tribulation. I had no idea about what to do, what steps I could take to help my son. So I asked the advice of friends and family, and the only glimmer of hope any of them could give me was a man named Bongo. Bongo was a Jamaican bush doctor, a man who used plants and natural herbs to treat disease, and who was said to have cured many sick people the doctors had given up as dead. One day, there was a knock on my front door. It was Bongo, a little old Rasta man sent to my house by a well-meaning friend. It says, Bongo listened attentively to my story about Nesta and then declared that he had thought he could help him. Listen, me Bongo, I told him seriously. This is no time for experiment. We want to know that this is a positive thing, that it definitely can help. Talk the plain truth. Can you cure Nesta? Bongo fidgeted and said he couldn't be positive on that. He couldn't in good conscience say that he was 100% sure. And well, that was honest, Bongo. Thank you for your honesty. Because even in statistics, you have either 99%, 95%, 90%. He was like, bro, I can't give you 100% approval rating, confidence level. Let's go ahead. Then Bungo walked through my garden with me and picked some common herbs and weeds, smelled them, and explained their powers and properties. He said many of the common plants we walk on are really medicines. He was a pleasant old man, very dignified and mannerly, and for a while, Nesta was keenly interested in my reports of what he had to say. But after examining Bungo at length, I had recommended against him, telling Nesta that for a sickness as serious as cancer, he needed better care. Nesta returned to Delaware, facing the prospect of surgery. All right, let's continue. Look at more. Yes, sir. Nesta did not want his toe cut off. He loved to play football. He loved to dance on the stage when he was performing. He thought he would be able to do none of these if his toe was amputated. He had returned to Delaware to think over his options for a treatment. Nesta's manager, Don Taylor, highly recommended Dr. William Bacon in Miami. He said that Dr. Bacon had saved his life after the assassination attempt. Because remember, they said they brought him to Miami because he got the most of the hits. Still, Nesta wavered in his mind, uncertain about what to do. Now that it was obvious that Bungo could not help, surgery seemed his only choice, yet he did not want to lose the toe. But remember, up until this point, they're like, hey, take it easy. Hey, chill out. Hey, give it a minute. But now his back is against the wall, right? With all this with all this gloom draped over us, one evening when Don Taylor was visiting him, Nesta suddenly said to me in my drawing room, Mama, know that Mr. Booker gone. You have to sell out them place you have and move from here. Move from here to where? Go Miami, Mama. Know that Mr. Booker pass. You can't manage with all the snow. If anybody are go walk on the sidewalk and fall down, you know you have to pay them. Well, that's true because you got to have insurance. A little later, Don Taylor came over and urged me to do as Nesta suggested and move to Miami. That was an interesting insertion right there, sir. I perked up. Miami was not only close to Jamaica, it had no brutal Delaware winter. I didn't need persuading. If Nesta wanted me to go to Miami, I would go there willingly. Don Taylor said he knew a realtor who could find me a suitable house, and we made arrangements to go to Miami. She goes on to say, let me see where she'll go with this, because she knows she'll go weaving Miami with the tour. For the next few days, Rita and I were up and down Miami looking for a house while Dr. Bacon put Nesta through medical tests. So this was the beginning of him trying to really figure out, and she goes into some other stuff right here. This was the beginning for him trying to figure out what they were going to do, right? So it goes on to say here, I'm going to jump down a little bit. One day we were on our way back from the airport where Nesta, Don Taylor, and I had gone to meet Gilly, Nesta's personal ITAL cook. He was then still convalescing at Don Taylor's house from the operation to remove the cancer on his toe. That's interesting that Nesta, when he was sick and in Miami, was at Don Taylor's house. Interesting. Skin taken from the bottom had been grafted on the top of his toe, from which the cancer had been cut off. So you could see his foot, and even in this, you can see a picture I put up where he's have the bandage on his foot. You can see him trying to stay off the toe. At this point, they're trying to mediate the damage that has been done. Let me jump down here. Hold on one second. All right, jump down here. Now she go and she get roof and all of this stuff. So because him want to get house in a Miami, cause in a catch run Don Taylor yard and all of this stuff. That's another topic. So it says here, however, a week or so later, I was settled in Miami with the new house that Nesta had bought for me. Nesta moved out from under Don Taylor's roof and into his own new room. After we'd moved into the new house, Nesta developed an infection in the toe from which the cancer had been cut and had to go back into the hospital for some further testing. Right? So again, the same thing we saw that happened when he was younger. This is not something new. I know, a lot of people are saying conspiracy theory, but according to his mother, he had some issues with some slow healing from a child. Okay. It says here, accompanied by Winnie and Diane, I went to visit him and we sat around in his room talking. One of his doctors, a lady named Dr. Hedgepath, came into the room and gave us her assurance. Why Dr. Hedgepath? You shouldn't do that. That they'd gotten all the cancer. She said that she didn't think there was any further danger for the toe. False reassurance. They never want to listen to Bongo. I see Dr. Hedgepath I tell Lady. The news left us feeling giddy with joy. Brighton, we chatted merrily with Nesta, whose foot was in plaster. When we were leaving, all of us went up to Nesta to kiss him goodbye. He took the kisses from his girlfriends and from me. Which girlfriend? Hold on, let's skip over some stuff. I'm not going to that right now, Which girlfriend, Sadella? Then glancing up as we were leaving, he asked mischievously, but wait, you have to sit before you can get all of the kiss. Get all of them kiss, yeah? Nesta, you need to stop. You need to stop. We all broke out into light-hearted laughter which trailed behind us as we left Nesta in his hospital room and trooped down the corridor. His toe was still occasionally causing him some discomfort, but the medical outlook so far as we knew was good. Trouble, the thief I heard outside my window, had slunk away in the night to haunt some other family, or so I thought innocently. So, that right there is the intro to the toe situation that we know unfortunately turned into full-blown cancer, right? And so the lessons that we could take away is prevention is better than cure, and not trivializing. This is what I'm hearing, that even though somebody was telling you, which is what Rita says, she was trying to warn you at the time when you didn't think it was that dangerous, you were trivializing it until it got worse. You know what I mean? I'm gonna come to the comment section and see what's going on. La-di-dee. For real, I can't keep up with his girlfriends either. Which girlfriend him did that get smooching at the hospital? And which girlfriends was he over there romper rooming with a hurt toe? Like Rita was saying, you giving out all your life force every night, you know what I'm saying, stirring it up, and you ain't even having enough energy to heal. Doctors can take one look at the site and said skin cancer, biopsy proving the diagnosis. Sister. If you caught early, maybe I missed something. Hold on. Nasty dog. No, y'all said he had the girlfriends at the hospital. Yeah, that's the question. Did he had any blood disorders? I'm saying he was born in the 40s in St. Anne. So did they do the testing? Did he know he had a rare blood type? Is this something before or after? You know what I mean? All of these things, there's a possibility he didn't know to after. Yeah, I think the movie would have been better suited as a series. Like it needed a series to really tell the story, a Netflix series or something like that. Here's the link for those who want to say 2 words. What time? No, 9 o'clock. If you have anything to say, feel free to come forward. Yeah, this part is sad, you guys. This part is a little sobering. You know what I mean? We had some interesting early on, but this part is sobering. But I also think it's very necessary because oftentimes we miss the lessons from this part as well. Like what his mother was saying, oh, it was just a toe, so we didn't think it was that bad, right? And it was the toe that started the whole situation. Yeah, his father, and that's also something to look at. Men with older sperm and how it affects the offspring. That's something. What are the dangers of people say, well, men can have children up until their XXY age. Yeah, they can, but what are risk factors? You know what I mean? What comes along with an older man, his DNA, the sperm, and how it affects the child? It does have, like, you have high risk pregnancies for women. Older sperm does come with other risk factors. And if I'm not mistaken, according to Norval, he was leaving, he couldn't ride horses anymore because he was sick. D. Perry is saying that after he had toe surgery in the US, he requested an extended stay, but it was turned down. Really? Oh, wow. Okay. They told him the toe wasn't serious enough to warrant an extended stay. Wow. Winter is saying, I think I either read that somewhere or heard it as well, that Don Taylor's wife was changing his foot bandages. So that's interesting to know that during that time that he's at Don Taylor, what is that conversation like? What is that experience like? Hmm. Why are we looking at Nesta's foot bottom? Who's looking? His foot is in. Oh, the foot in the thumbnail. The foot in the. Y'all had to get the view that Rita was getting. Rita had to get this view every night. She had to tend to Nesta's foot bottom. Beverly is saying, be vigilant of abnormal skin tags and moles. Okay, our thoughts and prayers are with your sister. She says her sister came in front of dark spot with uneven edges. Wow. Monique says Nesta came for a purpose. I would like to submit we all are here for a purpose. Sometimes we like to think that other people's purpose is greater than our own. We're all here for a purpose. And he tuned into his early, and this is why he was able to make such a big impact, because he tuned in and he believed it and he pursued it. And I would submit that possibly if we tune into what it is that the creator allowed us to come into earth to do, then in our own spaces, in our own way, in our own time, we can impact in a positive way, prayerfully, those who are around us. Lucy says, I believe the holistic approach is best. The problem is that our souls came here with a plan. I mean, he said that check out at 36. Again, the situation around Nesta is curious, because now that you're listening to Sadella's story, for instance, what was the name of the lady? Now, y'all gonna have to remind me, because there's a lot of people in this story. But when she first got married to, what's her name? When she first got married to Norval, and then the lady came behind her with the donkey. What was the lady's name again? Her name escapes me right now. She was having curious dreams when she was pregnant. She was spiritual things was happening. There was a lot that was going on around her when she was pregnant, with the situation and afterwards. Her name escapes me right now, but so there was, and evil spirits, according to Papa, is playing with the child. The child had injury when he was a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Y'all make me want to go look up the lady name again. Don't tell me the lady name. I don't remember the lady name, man. May I continue to read? Why did he wait? That's a question. There's some people that have habits of, oh, it's not that bad, and then we begin to cope. Again, pain is a messenger. Pain is coming to tell you something. Give me 1 second, please. Pain comes to tell us something. And if we ignore it, it's the body's way of communicating. So the longer we ignore it, is the louder it begins to scream. And in his case, he ignored it, and then it metastasized. It turned into something else. Yep, his father died from pneumonia. And anger, like we're saying, the emotions can also feed cancer, right? Like anger and resentment and hatred and indifference. These type of negative emotions can also feed cancer cells as well. Rage can impose physical ailment on the body. Indeed. Record, hold on. Records say Bob had what is this? Litignosis melanoma, which is not related with white people. Share the records, Winter. If you have those records and if anybody would like to look them up, feel free to share. But this is not something that just happened upon him. It happened, but he didn't think it was that important until it became that important. Lucy says first he blamed Rita, then he blamed God. He's just in much pain. He's not thinking right and needs to find something. But this is the time of reflection, because how did you get to this point? You have to say at some point you neglected yourself. Because we just saw the picture. This is you when you're told, hey, get off the foot. You didn't care at this point. You're dancing, you're doing it up. You know what I mean? At what point do you have self-reflection and say, you know what? I contributed to this because of X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And that's prayerfully something that we take away from this conversation. All right, let me go down to the bottom here. The link is in the box. And if anybody would like to share. Okay, no problem. Yeah, pain does tell us that something is wrong. Pain is an indicator. And it's even in our everyday life, like somebody say, oh, I'm taking a painkiller. So right away, you silence the pain. I understand sometimes it's so bad that you just want some relief, but the pain is telling you where to look. Something is going on here. Even if you have a normal headache, there are different types of headaches. Is it a frontal headache? Is it coming at the side of your head? Is it by your sinuses? All of this is going to indicate what the problem is and how to fix it. But if we just tell it to be quiet, I don't want to hear it because you're making me uncomfortable, all it's going to do is get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. Let's see here. Lucy. I thought the lady's name was Lucy. What's her last name? I thought the lady's name was Lucy. Lucy Lawrence. See, you don't remember? I don't remember, man. I don't remember. Yeah, Lucy Lawrence, who went behind Norville to Kingston with her donkey. She also was saying she said, Craven. She said she uttered something that was displeasurable to Sadella on her way out. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that you have to call into account with this story. I think Rita suffered too. She had a series of strokes in 2016. It's not really mobile. Yeah, I saw that as well. And a lot of people tend to look over that. Like the stresses that she endured are now she's experiencing. Like I saw that as well. That's why you don't see her from the side effects of, yeah, she's in a wheelchair now. And so you have to ask yourself, in what ways did what she experienced, what she possibly internalized, what she had to deal with over the years, contribute to what she's experiencing right now? I'm thank you for bringing it up, because a lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people don't talk about that. Ruth says Bob's vanity was his downfall. He did not want to cut off his toe because he was too concerned about how it would make him look. I mean, that, and it functionally, your toe has everything to do with your balance. I guess he was considering about looks, also considering about his livelihood. Like, what was he going to do if he couldn't do what he did? You know what I mean? So I think it was multiple things going on there. You're all confusing me because my name's Lucy. Can't figure out if you're talking. No, it's Lucy. It's Lucy Lawrence, the lady who was matey to Sadella. 1720 says also men or women sleeping with multiple partners can cause sickness. Imagine the woman he hurt and the negativity they felt towards him. Can we talk about it? Not just only sexually transmitted diseases, spiritually transmitted energy that you're doing from picking up all of these random energies from all of these different people. Could this have been a contributing factor? Questions. These are all good assertions. Liberal dad said Bob did too flighty. What you say? No, she didn't say. Jeremiah says blame shifting. Yeah, this is a time for reflection, but I don't hear much reflection based on what the witnesses are saying. I don't hear much reflection at this time. Although later on he does ask, and I guess I'll say it at this time, he does ask his mother, it was his father. I think I read that. Was remind me if I read it. Was his father a good person? Here he says, one, this is when he was really in pain. One night, for example, he was laying in dark, not moving, saying nothing. The house was still. It was winter night, and the whole of Germany was crusted over with bitter iciness. Nestor groaned and shifted. Then he asked me quietly, Mama, was my daddy a bad man? Because he's trying to figure out what in the world is going on. She says, it caught me by surprise, this question, and it took me back to 9 miles, to the cool, misty nights when a curious young girl, I would sneak up the hillside to sleep in Captain's arms. So yeah, tell Rita, say, no, I say, remember, continue. No, I said carefully. But remember, his father was cursing the church, according to her, giving mash up church money, forbidding her from worshiping. His father was doing some interesting things. He was tricking up the young girl. Let's see here. Your daddy wasn't a bad man. He was just a poor man. And he run into a lot of pressures from his family. That's what, I mean, I know at the time it wouldn't have been the right time to go into all of the details, but, he's asking about what's going on around him and why is he having this experience. Because again, like I said, if you read the end part of the book, it's very sad. He suffers for 6 months. He suffers for a long time. Is it normal for children to get shipped to Jamaica as young as they were? Who actually watch all those kids? Well, I think according to what Rita's accounts are, whose kids? Their kids? Because auntie is still helping. I think family members are still helping. So they kind of have a unit while they're out and doing what it is that they're doing that helped. If that's what you're asking about, their thing that helped watch over their children. Animal Ranger says Bob did love Rita, but someone chat her name. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. But the way he treated her, that showed something else. We would have to define love here because love has many definitions. And yeah. All right. For those who interested, Winter says she shared the link. Bedtime. All right, prudent mom. I'm about to wind down in a minute too. I'm just coming down here. We're talking about high blood pressure sometimes contributed to stroke. It does. I agree with you that she did not have time to take care of herself. Yeah, high blood pressure is a contributing factor to having a stroke, among other things that lets us know that we need to know even within ourselves some of the behaviors, some of the stressors that we need to alleviate so that we can make sure that we're in better health, because it's a dangerous thing if you wait till the end part to try to make corrective measures, right? The little choices that we make each day are way more important than the big decisions that we go to try to course correct with, So yeah, less salt on your food and no make nobody stress you out and learn how to take a walk and make sure you do your exercise and just simple things so that you can maintain your mental and emotional hygiene as you go along each and every day. Diabetes is another thing that taken up the whole of the community, not only just here in the US, but across the world. We're seeing increases in rates of diabetes and pre-diabetes and all of these things that when they get to the bad end stage, yeah, like Nestor's toe, sore is not healing, but he didn't look like he had diabetes. It could have been some other genetic situation going on, but similar things can happen when we day by day make the wrong choices. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like our children take care of her. It looks like our children take care of her. Okay, yeah. Why he didn't want to cut off the toe? I mean, he could have had his reading. Jamaican men know everything. True. Because whoever was giving him that early advice was bad advice. You know what I mean? That early advice, and plus whatever he had going on in his own mind to not take it seriously was where the things started going left. Very hard headed and stubborn about all the wrong things. Back then, half the people were dead. We really don't know where them dead from. It's true. You'd be like, wow, the surgeon said, you know, say them dead from what? Why? I mean, I know, you know. Okay, so how can we fix things if you don't know what's causing all this stuff? Nah, boozy. What kind of thing? Didn't Bob breed some? I mean, the last woman that he breed is a lady, according to Sadella's narrative, is a lady named Yvette. That's who's supposed to be the mother for the last daughter who died like a week or two after. I mean, born a week or two, sorry, after he died. And so she was pregnant during that time. And then Sadella signed off, according to her, that this was Bob's uh, child. Sadella, I think Sadella was a product of her time. You know what I mean? She was a product of her time. Bob's mother says sick toe is a sign. There's something was going on because it wasn't the first time something like that happened. His father didn't have anything. His cancer didn't have anything to do with his father. Action is biology and environment. Um. Uh. If you want to go to how the process of sperm and what makes up sperm and how long it takes for sperm to mature and how thought and energy goes into it, and therefore if Norval was in a lower frequency um before he impregnated Sadella, then his actions would have everything to do with it, because it's not just a physical manifestation of who you are, it's a spiritual manifestation of who you are. So if this is the thoughts that was in his mind as a man, anti, creator thoughts, anti-God thoughts, all these type of different thoughts according to her narrative, then that would have, and even be trying to beguile her, trying to lure her in, trying to seduce her, trying to do all kind of things for her to go back into the position he wanted. I tend to agree that would have been part of who he was, because that would have gone into the makings of who he became. That foundation, that seed is just like when the woman is pregnant. If she thinks certain thoughts and she meditates on certain things and she's stuck in certain emotional spaces, then that's also going to imprint on the child. So spiritually, I would say his father's actions do go into biology and the environment of what ultimately becomes who he became. That's just my thoughts. I mean, we could definitely go into a metaphysical discussion or getting some information about that, but it's not just the biology of it. Yeah, that's what I want to know. How would you define love, people? Lucy got a question. How would you define love? Because that love, the word is being thrown around. And yeah, we got questions. We have Monique who has joined us. I will bring you up. Go ahead, Monique. Welcome to the conversation.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hey. Okay. Hey Amuna, how are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good. I had wanted to mention an article that I saw from the Jamaican Observer. I don't know if you read it. It was talking about one of his close friends that was also happened to be a doctor and also converted as well. I was wondering if he was mentioned. His name is Dr. Frazier. If he was mentioned in Sadella's book, I don't have her book.
Hmm. No, I don't think I heard that name.
I'll post the article in the chat.
Okay. That would be cool.
But in the article, he talks about how he met Bob in 1975. And they become, good friends. And then he becomes kind of like the house doctor for everyone. And he becomes like the person that Bob trusts the most with his health. And he talks about in the article what allegedly what Bob was experiencing while he was in Germany and how he had pretty good recovery while he was there. But then it's like he was doing really well, and then suddenly it just all went bad. So,
Hmm.
like in the article, he's supporting the idea that um, basically supporting the conspiracy theories because he allegedly witnessed Bob doing well or doing better while he was in Germany.
Interesting. Feel free to share that article like under this video so we could check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely share. I posted it in the chat, but yeah, I'll post it in the comments section. I thought that was very interesting. Um, like he said, basically he was, if he had been there for maybe like a month, maybe or 2 more months, he probably would have been better.
Hmm.
That was his, prediction. And he just doesn't feel really good about how quickly everything turned in the opposite direction. So yeah, I definitely think that was an article that really kind of complements everything that you're talking about right now.
Thank you so much for sharing. We'll definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, no problem. I was just like looking around and I found it. I just wasn't sure if anyone mentioned him because I didn't see him in Rita's book. I didn't see him in Don Taylor's book.
Right.
Um, and I don't know, like I don't have Sadella's book yet, so I wasn't sure if she talked about him.
I don't remember. The name sounds familiar. Maybe I heard it somewhere else. The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember it being in Sadella's book. Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
But definitely we'll check that out because there's a lot of mystery around that conversation.
Yeah, and also too, I agree with like the sentiment that he kind of it seemed like he lived a short life and it seemed like he was just very busy. Like he was always into something, always traveling, um, rarely ever home. It doesn't seem like he ever had moments of rest,
Hmm.
except for like the time when he went into exile.
Right.
Um, but that was like brief, and then he started, working again. So even though he had healthy habits, like in the most important ways, he wasn't looking after himself in the
Right.
way that he should have.
And that's a lesson for us all. That sometimes we gotta slow down and give the body time to recoup and regenerate. You know what I mean? Because if we don't, then as Rita was speaking to, you don't have that opportunity. It doesn't have the opportunity to do what it needs to do because it's always on the go. You know what I mean? You're not getting enough rest, and you're not doing the things. Your mind is not at peace. So definitely, as you said, even in that last 7 year span, he wasn't still long enough.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it. I also in Don Taylor's book, I did like some of the things that he shared about Bob. Of course, we don't know like how true they are, but I liked kind of how he shared and kind of like a snapshot of like Bob's day-to-day life, like his daily schedule. Because I was wondering like how does he fit all of these people in his life and like how does his daily routine.
Right.
Um, so it seemed like he had a habit of, he does his work in the day and then he has his kids for a few hours and he goes out at night. So it seems like he's like entertaining a lot of the women at nighttime because I'm like, how do you fit all of these people in your life? And how are you having all these relationships? Like, I don't know. I would be stressed out because I'm introverted. So I don't know how he did that. I don't know if he was like an introvert or extroverted, but that's just a lot of energy and too much people,
Yeah,
in your space every day.
that's true. That's true. The way he looks sometimes when he's deep in thought, it looks like he needs time to recharge outside of the,
Side of the,
you know,
you know.
I'm getting a little feedback. Hold on a
Mhm.
second. Sorry, yeah, it looks like he needed time to recharge. Even the picture with his face on the screen, he doesn't always look like he's on, but the more, as Rita was talking about, the more that demands were made on him, is I think that exasperated the situation. But go ahead. I'm just muting my mic because I hear a little feedback. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know if that's coming from my end or is it yours? I'm not sure.
No, no, I think it's coming from your end. I don't know if the speaker is on or something, but I'm hearing a little feedback. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Does anyone else have anything to share? If not, I'm gonna unwind down today. I want to shout out to subscriber who was like, Amuna, what are you doing? Today is Wednesday. Because I almost forgot. Okay. Yep, the body needs time to rejuvenate and to heal. You can't just keep going for 7 years straight or however many, and that's even in today's space and time. It's go, 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 do, run, run, run. It's too much. The link, it's on 1 hour right now. Chain smoking is not a good habit, lack of sleep, hectic schedule, and womanizing. Yeah, you're letting go all of your life force. It's a lot. I see this device says it is not connected. You might have to go out and come back in. So that's kind of what I had today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I don't know. Lucy says Nikola Tesla only slept 2 hours a day and he still lived into his 80s. He may have been into some other stuff too. Nikola Tesla is I don't know. I don't know. He may, it was that's interesting right there. That's interesting. I think there's multiple factors that played a role into his sickness. I mean, some known and some unknown. Even just if we go by what we can see or what was told to us and what's observable, his also the behaviors. If we're gonna say, okay, the unknown, that's more salacious, that's more, woo, it would be like, yeah, somebody did it to him. But for the behaviors that we can see that the behaviors that he was doing was not sustainable. Right. And we can also hear by his mother's account that this is not the first time something of this nature happened. And therefore, they've done something that they weren't aware of until after the fact. And that's kind of what, I will be able to say concerning it, as well as the other things. I've heard the guy say, yeah, he gave him the boot with the pin and all of these other things. But then how does that explain what how does that explain what his mother said about when he was young? I think he had a pre-existing condition. It may have came from his father, and that they didn't necessarily know what it was until they gave it a name. Celie says Bob must be the only person ever. I mean, I'm not sure. Did we look? Did we look? I'm not familiar with the way in which, but did we see if it is the only place it starts with the toe? Lucy says he slept 20 naps 4 times throughout the day. He was power napping. He was over there power napping. That's interesting. That's an interesting fact. I like facts. That's interesting. I'll check that out. Tate, I'm not sure what's up with your device, but we are at the 1 minute mark today. So we'll go ahead and wind down. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, we can't negate the fact that Omariah was over there, pronouncing whatever he was pronouncing over his feet and under his arm. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we know now that's like, wait a minute, how much stuff is really contributing to what actually happened? There's a lot of stuff. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you have anything else to say, feel free to let us know in the description below. Drop your comments. Please be respectful to one another. I'm going to go ahead and play an Island Twist commercial for those who are enjoying Island Twist. Thank you so much for supporting the ting. And until next time, I'm trying to work on something, guys. I don't even want to say it yet. All I want to say is I'm trying to work on something. So if the something that I'm working on does what it needs to do, then stay tuned for that as well. Good night, everybody. Everybody have a blessed night. Take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of your loved ones. All right? Health is wealth. One. Island Twist follows Jackie Brown, a young girl who finds herself head over heels for the new island boy at school in fresh outer yard, and Jackie has the fever. But as she navigates the ups and downs of her new crush, things quickly spiral out of control when her not so secret admirer becomes determined to sabotage her relationship. So check out the new novel, Island Twist, over on Amazon today. Now back to the story.